Hey guys, how are you doing? No, I mean really. How are you doing? No, seriously, honestly, how are you doing? Did you know that it's okay to say that you're not doing well? It's okay to say, I'm struggling with this or I'm struggling with that. For example, I'll get us started, right? I am having a really difficult time with the social distancing. It took me a little while, but I am really feeling the effects of it. I am physically experiencing the pain of not being able to be with all of you guys. And I'm having a hard time. Now, I don't expect you to, try to fix the problem for me. You can be praying for me, and I would really appreciate that. But I just want to be honest and say, I'm not doing well. And I want you to know that it's okay for you to say that as well. And I'm putting together this series of messages because it has taken me a while to get to the point where I'm comfortable saying that I am not doing okay. A little while ago, or I don't know, maybe it was yesterday. I feel like I'm living in the twilight zone. It's like it's been one long week, and I've completely lost track of time. But, anyways, a little while ago, a friend of mine uh, invited a group of us to have our own private retreat of solitude. And then later, we had a Zoom meeting to discuss what we felt that the Lord was saying to us. And one of my friends said that she felt like the Lord was encouraging us to embrace the mourning, to really engage in the act of mourning what it is that we've lost. And to be honest with you, I fought against that. My opinion was that, look, God is in control and he is working all things out for his good, or our good and his glory. And we have no reason to be anything other than rejoicing in the fact that our God is in control. And I felt I felt correct in what I was saying, but that idea that my friend suggested, it never really quite left me alone. And so I went to prayer and I was asking God to help me understand this situation from his perspective. And while I don't think I can honestly say that I understand what God is up to, he did open my eyes to something about himself, which has really changed the way that I am looking at this pandemic experience. And I think it's a timeless truth and one that I will probably be applying to my own life for many years to come. Now, for various reasons, we have decided to limit these messages to about 10 minutes or less. If any of you know me, you know how incredibly difficult this is going to be for me. And so, what I've decided to do is a little bit unconventional, but hey, everything we're doing is unconventional right now. I want to put together a series of videos in which I want to really try to flesh out this amazing truth about God. So this first video right here is going to serve more of like a introduction into a series that I want to call The God Who Is Far and Near. And what I want to explore is the profound way that God balances his transcendence and his immanence. Now, I know those are pretty technical terms, so don't worry. I plan on spending some time helping us just understand what they mean about God, and then ultimately how he relates to us. And I firmly believe that if we can get a grip on who God is, it will inform who we are and then how we get to live in light of it all. And so, since I have a few minutes left to get us started, I think we need to define some terms. And the first term I want to take a look at is the idea of God's transcendence. Now, the word transcend means to go beyond boundaries or limits. We might say that a piece of music or art transcends time or culture. What we mean is that the limits of time and place will not take away from the quality of the music, right? It's not bound to a specific time or place. It goes beyond those boundaries. This is the idea of transcendence. So when we speak about God being transcendent, we are saying that he is not held by the boundaries of this physical world. He goes beyond or exists outside of time, space, and matter. We acknowledge this truth all the time, whether you use the word transcendent or not. In common terms, when we speak about how it is that God can give prophecy which he foretells the future. We explain that by saying that God exists outside of time. So what we're really doing is appealing to his transcendence. Now, not only does God exist outside of time, but he exists outside of space and matter. He's spirit. He doesn't have a physical being. The Old Testament is full of imagery that describes God in physical ways, but that's really just there so that we can understand what he's like. It's not to give us an accurate picture of what he actually looks like. So God, he does not exist inside of his creation. He transcends his creation. Right? That's the idea of transcendence. But God is not just transcendent. He is also immanent. Now, immanence means, quite honestly, the opposite of transcendence. The word immanent, from which we get the word immanence, means close at hand. You may have heard something maybe be described as an imminent threat. And this means that something is close to happening. So when we talk about God's immanence, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the fact that God is in his universe. He takes part in his creation. He is close at hand. So, how is it that God can be both outside his creation, in his transcendence, and inside his creation with his immanence at the same time? Well, that question is one that has been wrestled with in many different ways, in many different arenas, for many hundreds of years. In fact, there are different religions that are defined by the way that they answer that very question. A group known as the deists fully believe in God and his transcendence. They view God as kind of like a clockmaker. Like he built the world, he set the galaxies in motion, and then took his hands off. So he doesn't get involved in his creation. They don't believe in his immanence. So they deny things like miracles and stuff like that. And it might surprise you, this is just a free fact, it might surprise you that many of our country's founding fathers were in fact deists. Interesting bit of information. Now, on the far end of the spectrum, on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, is what is known as pantheism. Now, pantheists believe in the immanence of God at the exclusion of his transcendence. See, pantheists believe that the universe itself is a manifestation of God, that everything is a part of God, and God is in everything. The Shinto faith in Japan, if you've ever heard of that, that's an example of classic pantheism. But pantheism has taken different shapes and different forms throughout the years, and it's a lot more prevalent in today's society than I think many people realize. And if you've ever heard of the New Age movement is a lot more prevalent in today's popular media than people realize. And you'll hear things like realizing your inner light, or that spark of divinity that every person has. Really what they're saying is that every person is a part of God, or some people will even go so far as to say that every person is in fact God. Since God is in all things and all things are in God, then you are in God since you are a part of his creation, and so therefore you are a God. So anyways, that's a whole nother topic for another day, just to say that the idea of pantheism is actually still pretty popular today. So anyways, I'm quickly running out of time for this video, and I know that this might have felt kind of heavy, a little bit more like a classroom lecture than maybe a sermon per se. But I wanted to lay some important groundwork in understanding the words transcendence and immanence, because I want to build on that foundation and help us see how it is that God so perfectly balances those two amazing attributes of himself. And then ultimately, what does that mean about us? And frankly, why am I talking about it today? Why do I feel it's so important in the midst of what we're going through with COVID-19 and this pandemic? Now, I do hope that you will stick with me through to the end of this series, because I know it might not seem like it right now, but trust me, getting a grip on this amazing truth will change the way that you look at God and the world around you. And so I'm sure if you are still with me in this video, you can tell by now I am a theology geek. This is my passion. I love talking about this stuff. And so if I went too quickly over something, or if you have any questions about anything I've said in this video, please feel free to reach out. You can email me, you can text me, you can call me, whatever you want. You can hit me up on Facebook, however it is that you want to get a hold of me. Please feel free to ask any questions that you have, because frankly, I just need to talk to some people, and I love talking about theology. So, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. So, until next time, may God bless you and make you a blessing to others.